There it is. Odin Father awaits in the new event dungeon. Now, I have done no research. I have watched no videos, but I'm going to get in there, read the guide, theory craft some teams, and try to push as far as I can. Hopefully, I can get all the way to stage 30. So if you want to see me struggle with this event dungeon, or maybe just swing and conquer it first time, stick around. I am Colred. This is Colred Plays. Let's get started. If you enjoy the content you see here on Colred Plays Raid Shadow Legends and you'd like to support the channel, there are several ways that you can help. First and foremost, please smash that like button for this video and any of our videos that you enjoy. Second, leave a comment. Comments in our videos actually help with the engagement portion of the YouTube algorithm that spreads our videos far and wide. Third, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and turn on notifications so you get informed whenever we upload new content. And finally, if you're interested, we do offer paid subscriptions to the YouTube channel. You can find out the cool perks that you get and all the pricing information from the main channel page right here in YouTube. Thanks so much for all of the support. Now let's get back to the video. Here we are in the event dungeon. You can see I have done no stages yet. We are in stage 1. I do know that Odin Father is the boss here, but I have no idea if he has adds or if there are multiple rounds like in the normal dungeons where you have to clear waves and then get to the boss fight. I really don't know what it's going to look like. We do know it takes energy. I've got plenty of energy here tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and just jump into this boss guide. There is a boss guide here, which is, I expected that. I wasn't sure, but I hoped they were going to have that. And my understanding, based on some of the material that we've seen before, is that basically he should have the same skills that he has as a champion. So he does have the exact skills that he has as a champion. I've looked at his kit. And so we have the Berserk debuff is kind of interesting. This increases the amount of damage that the champion takes and applies. So if you get a Berserk debuff on your champion, that champion is actually going to hit harder, but it's also going to take 50% more damage. I think it's 50% more damage. It might be double damage. There's a buff strip. I'm assuming it can be resisted, right? This is a normal champion buff strip. So I don't know what the resistance is going to be here. There are 30 stages to this dungeon. So at stage 30, it could be pretty high. It could be like hard mode 10 for the other dungeons. We won't know until we get there. Also has an 80% chance of placing decreased defense debuff on all enemies and a stun. So it feels like you can't really use a block buffs that's going to get removed, right? So maybe a protection champion protection gear that has a block buffs debuff would be really nice, because then that can't be stripped and it could help prevent the stuns. Or cleansers, you know, a cleanser who resists the stun and then can cleanse the rest of the team and the decreased defense. Attacks one enemy before attacking, steals all buffs from the target. Okay, that could be problematic. So you don't want a ton of buffs necessarily. Might not matter. And then deals damage based on the target's type. So this basically means that he's going to hit hard no matter who he hits. This attack will ignore 100% of the target's defense. And then if a target is killed, it revives an ally. So if he has allies, we don't know, but if he has allies, then he can bring them back. This is an enemy max HP hit, though, which isn't necessarily going to hit us. Oh, no. It's all of these, right? Based on attack, defense, or max HP. Okay. Now, he does get the boss Almighty Immunity and Almighty Strength, so we can't stun him. It looks like we may be able to slow him, so a slow may be valuable. I don't know. Cooldown increasing effect, so we can't lock him out. Doesn't look like we can lock him out. And then max HP cannot exceed 10% of the boss. So relatively simple fight. Obviously, we don't have ads. Let's see if there are any teams of the week. There are no teams yet, so probably have to wait a week until we see that. Not crazy. You know, now we have to learn about the fight. We have to learn about the fight. So what I'm going to do here is probably just start with a team that could handle some waves and handle the boss pretty well. Are all of the affinities the same? They are all Void Affinity. So he is a Void Affinity champion, so all of the stages are Void Affinity. So we don't have to worry about affinity. We can basically bring in anybody. So I think I'm going to bring in a couple of boss killers and then maybe some wave control and a couple of cleansers. Do something like that. Now, this is not like theory crafting a team at the end. This is just a team I want to kind of quickly get through these lower stages. So we're going to bring in plenty of damage. Let's go ahead and start with Cardiel and Mithrala. That's going to give us the Hex and the ally attack. That should be pretty good. And then we'll bring some boss killers in Ninja here and Newt. And then what else should we bring? Probably just more damage. I don't know that we really... Maybe some like turn meter fill and debuffs. We have a weaken, so maybe a decreased defense champion that brings turn meter. We know who that would have to be. That would have to be Deacon. And we don't need a super raid right now because we're on stage 1. So let's go ahead and see what this fight is all about. I'm curious. All right, so it's just a boss. No waves, no ads. Just a boss, really? 1 second clear. Cardio one-shot him with his A1. Okay, so obviously, my champions are overpowered for this. I wonder if this is literally the fight. All we do is fight Odin. That can't be. I mean, obviously, it's silly at the low stages. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going up the stages, and I'll come back if anything interesting develops, or I start to max out. If I get all the way to 30, then we'll maybe theory craft a team for the fight that's a little bit more free-to-play friendly than this one. This is weird. Keep going, man. All right. Be right back. That's so... Oh, there's an actual pinpoint banner. Nice. Oh, look, we got ads. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So maybe as we level up, we'll get different ads. Let's try a slightly different team here. I think I'm going to keep this, but what I want to do is... Actually, I want to go back to Cardiel, and let's try Sissy a Flame Tongue here for the AoE HP burn. She also brings a decreased defense and weaken, potentially, so that's nice. We could swap out our Deacon, bring somebody else in. If we have an aura, we need an aura of all battles, but also an aura of dungeons should work, right? This is a dungeon. It's an event dungeon, so we could potentially get a nice aura that's faster than the 19% we're running with Cardiel right now. We're still doing a ton of damage to him. He is not hard to kill, right? We're still under a minute here. I don't know what we're at, about stage 20 or so. What was that? That was stage 20. So I expect now it's going to start getting a little bit more difficult. Now, again, depending on where you are in the game, what your gear is like, what your roster is like, you may be looking at this and being like, I can't even make it to stage 20. And that's just part of the deal, right? That's just part of the deal. But hopefully you can still get some good 5-star pinpoint gear. Oh, all right. Yeah, I might end up dying here. But hopefully what we'll do is we'll get to stage 30, we'll kind of theory craft a team, and maybe that team will also be valuable in terms of progressing through the stages. Because without the changes of affinity that we see in the normal dungeons, a team that works on stage 15 should work on stage 18, should work on stage 23. It's just going to be a matter of stats. So if you don't have the stats, I don't think you can like really rearrange the champions too much and like get what you need. There are certainly bad team compositions you could put together that aren't going to be as effective as good team compositions, but you're going to probably run into a ceiling based on your gear. unless you don't, right? Unless you happen to get all the way to stage 30. Now, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to run into a ceiling or not. This is certainly getting harder here at stage, I think this is stage 21. So I'm going to have to start thinking about how I want to actually approach this fight with a little bit more tactical analysis. So right after we're done with this particular stage, we'll probably go back to the drawing board. Look, so he is reviving champions based on that kill. So that is something we have to worry about. Okay. So let's go ahead. Now we're on stage 22. Let's look at this. So how does that revive work? It's the Asgardian Judgment. This is his A3. We'll have to see what the cooldown is. I think it's a 3-turn cooldown. Attacks one enemy before attacking, steals all buffs from the target, and then does damage based on the type, right? So it ignores 100% of defense, so tanky targets aren't going to help. If the target was killed by this skill, revives a random dead ally with 50%. Okay. So I don't know if this hit lands on a particular target. Does this land on the lead? Because if it lands on the lead, then you could put somebody in there with a lot of resist and resist the buff steal. And even though you're getting your defense ignored, you could hold on to things like shield and strengthen. And that might allow you to survive the hit. Otherwise, the only way to probably survive it would be to go. I mean, he does damage based on max HP, but max HP champion might still be the best. It's hard to say. Or potentially you just let it be like Wukong, who self-revives, and even though he's going to revive a target ally with 50% HP and 50% turn meter, if you're going faster than their team, you'll just kill that ally over and over again. So maybe you don't even try to save your champion. You just try to target it onto a particular champion. And I don't know if we can do that or if it's going to be random. Okay, so I think that this team makes sense, although I would like a way to buff strip. And I'm trying to think if I can actually do that with this team composition. Now, if you run your seer with more accuracy, then I think this team is beautiful. That feels really good. You have a buff strip, you have a block debuff from Ugo, you have the nuke from Newt, and if he gets the berserk, he's going to hit super hard. Astrid gives you the speed and the turn meter fill. You've got Mithrala, who's got the cleanse, and she's got the resist. She's never going to take the stun. That feels pretty good. We could potentially... I was going to say we could potentially do like a resist here instead because Mithrala, but I'm not sure about the lead spot yet. Like the leader might still take a hit on one of the skills, but not the other. Yeah, that's the weekend. Let's go ahead and put this out. And again, I don't know if my seer is going to have enough damage all the way up to stage 30. But yeah, did not one-shot that particular wave. Shouldn't be a problem. Because that ad is going to die when I do this. Yes. Okay. So again, so now this is going to be the boss's Asgardian Judgment, right? This is where he steals all the buffs. And originally he was hitting Mithrala, but maybe it was just a random thing. Yeah, he hit Newt again. So he's going to get his block damage debuff. I'm sorry, I keep messing that up. It's block damage buff, not a debuff. And that means we have to wait for him to take his turn for it to come off. But he is also hitting Newt with the Berserk skill, which is like, that's definitely working in our favor. Now he can get block debuffs up for at least 2 turns, so we shouldn't have to worry about his block damage buff for a while. Fortunately, maybe I should bring in a Renegade. Maybe that would be helpful, or a Painkeeper, somebody that, maybe an Emic. Who, yeah, Emic would work well with Seer. But who would I get rid of? I don't have anybody I could get rid of. Ooh, Mithrala actually got crowd controlled there. I wonder if that was just a 3%. So, because I can't imagine that at stage 24 we already need 700 resistance, because she's got 700 resistance. Let's go ahead and take a look at her. She has 704 accuracy plus 274 resistance. So she has actually got almost 1,000 resistance. So yeah, that must have just been a 3% thing. Okay. Let's keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. This is a long video, but Sun can do some edits and cut it out. All right. So we're just going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep manualing, and then when we get to stage 30, we'll see if we can find a full auto team. I'm sure I could put this into the AI and make it work. It doesn't feel too complicated just yet. Let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, we one-shot the ads there, so that's nice. Stage 25 not being too bad. And again, yeah, Mithrala resisted there, so I think that was just a 3% on the last stage. So that, I think that decreased attack is what's going to keep Newt alive right here. And when the boss steals these buffs, he's got the block debuffs up, so he doesn't actually get the buffs. And that's what I think keeps us safe. The decreased attack and him not getting the buffs. So right now, it feels like we actually have, luckily, a speed tune. Although this is annoying that he gets this block damage up every time. So we have to cycle past that. And we missed our block. Oh, we're 1, 2. Yeah, we had 10 buffs up. 10 buffs, so we didn't get our block debuffs up. And now Newt has the Berserk debuff, so he's going to hit really hard, but we need him to stay alive. And we need we need Odin to not have his buff up. I didn't land the slow. I didn't put the slow on that time. So maybe that's something that I just missing the slow. All right, let's go ahead and we've got the weekend. Let's just do the A3 now before the buff goes up. So that buff is highly annoying. I'm really not liking that buff. It's absolutely a pain in the butt. And I think you need at least a block debuffs champion, but maybe also a champion who can remove that buff. The rest of the fight doesn't seem particularly difficult. Not yet, anyway. Not with my gear and my champions. Now that we've got Mithrala in the lead, it feels like. But again, it's not helping because he's targeting Newt. So we may not need Mithrala in the lead. We may want to put in somebody who's going to give us more damage or more resistance or more speed or something. Okay, so here I am at stage 30. You can see I brought in Armands and took out Seer. Seer just wasn't clearing the wave, wasn't hitting that hard. She was dying anyway, and I was having trouble removing the block damage buff. And so Armands gives me another way to not only control the ads, but remove that buff with his sheep mechanic. So it's still tricky. It's still tricky. Definitely speed is key. You have to be fast. One of the things that I realized here is, like, obviously, you can see the ads keep ramping up here at stage 30. So if we go back to like stage 25, you can see that there are different ads here and that they don't have as many awakening stars, right? I always forget if it's Ascension or I think it's awakening stars. They don't have as many red stars here. And as you go up past, that point, you get to 27, you can see different ads come in. And now they've all got 4 stars. And you get up to 29. Now they've all got 5 stars. And then you finally get to stage 30 and they've all got 6 stars. In addition, we've got Dune Lord Gregor here, who is the faction unity champion. So it looked like he came in around stage 28 or so, I think. I think he came in on 28. Was he here at 27? Yeah, so he came in on 28. Now, he made a difference. Like, he definitely made a difference. everybody is harder to deal with now because he's got the faction unity bonuses. So this one is actually big. Decreases the cooldown of all ally skills except this champion's by 1 turn. And then fills the turn meter of all allies by 20%. And activates instant turn effect. So this skill can't fire. Like, we can't let Dune Lord Gregor fire this skill. In addition, you know, we have these other abilities here. Allies ignore 50% of target's resist when applying a stun. So this actually makes it hard even for Mithrala to resist. But I think she's still doing okay. At least at 29, she didn't get stunned. But so we have to kill the ads. We have to kill the ads, and unfortunately, I don't have the damage here because we need speed. We need to kill the ads. We need damage for the boss. I might be able to like pull Newt out and put in Ninja. Ninja is a better AoE damage dealer. We still have the weaken from Astrid, so this might work. Plus, it's an additional crowd control for all of the ads, giving them fewer chances to go. Plus, with his escalation, that might be okay. But the problem is, if he dies, I have no reviver, right? Which is problematic. So the ads definitely have a lower resistance than the boss. So we're not struggling to land debuffs on the ads. You know, now granted, you have to remember I did have Mithrala in the lead, so that's another 80. So that actually does push that up to basically 500, 503 accuracy. So it may be that 425 number is the number that we're actually looking for, or maybe 450 for accuracy. That might be enough. Here we've got Astrid. Astrid is also landing her debuffs. She's got 359 plus 80 is 439. So I think that 425 is the number. It feels like maybe that 425 is the number. So if you are built to land debuffs at stage 25 of Phantom Shogun or Sand Devil's Necropolis, you're going to have the accuracy here. That's what it feels like for the ads. For the ads. For the boss, I don't quite know. I'm not 100% sure. Now, Astrid did land her weaken on the boss, so again, maybe that 425 number is good for the boss too. Maybe that number is good there. Nishak would be interesting. It feels like Ugo should work then with Mithrala as the lead. But I can't take Astrid out. So it would have to be Armand's. And I don't know that Mighty Ugo is better than Armand's. I'm thinking about how can I clear out those ads faster? If I bring in Mithrala and Lydia and I bring Seer back, could I one-shot the ad? And that would leave me with Ugo and Newt, right? I would lose my speed. I would lose all my speed, which means the boss is going to go faster. He's going to stun me. I'm not going to get the block debuffs up. So that, you know, I can't lose Astrid, and I can't lose Ugo, and I can't lose Newt. I can't really lose anybody. So it doesn't feel like I can do a Seer comp. You may be able to figure out a Seer comp. It might work for you. You know, the question is, could I do this without Mithrala? If I have another cleanser who has enough resistance. I'm tempted to bring in Goffred Brassclad because he has an AoE stun. It's a 100% chance. But he's also got this passive. Or bring in Mezamel and, like I was trying to do before, block the revive. Bring her. I guess I would have to bring her instead of Newt. which feels like it would take forever. And she would just have to nuke out each of the ads. And then they'd stay dead. Actually, once they're dead, as long as I don't die, as long as none of my champions die, they don't come back. So it's not even an issue of the block revive. It's just I need to hit them hard enough. I need to really hit them hard and crush them and get them dead fast so that the boss doesn't get all that turn meter fill. Lydia does have an increased speed buff, but she does not have the turn meter fill or the turn meter decrease. She has the weaken. Let's see if I bring Seer back. I'll also show you my Seer just so you can see whether or not you have enough damage on your Seer. So my Seer is okay. She's not phenomenal, but she's good. So you can see a little bit low on attack, right? Here's 3571. Decent crit damage at 251. She's okay. She is in lethal, so she's going to ignore defense. Right? She's going to ignore 25% of the enemy's defense, and cruel, so actually ignore 30% of the enemy's defense. See, I haven't actually glyphed her. I think I had to not glyph her because I couldn't increase her speed for some other fight. She was speed tuned, like Ice Golem or something. So let's see if this is fast enough. I doubt it. Yeah, look, they're all going first. And Seer's dead. And Seer's dead. So the speeds. Let's take a look at the speeds on my team right now. I think Mithrala is the fastest. She's 257. So 257 is not fast enough. 257 is definitely not fast enough. Now my Astrid is over 300. She's at 311, it looks like. She was fast enough. I don't think Lydia is faster than Mithrala. I think Lydia's, but maybe she is. 255, no. Newt's 240 something, 235. So we're trying to figure out the stats here, right? Like how fast do we have to go? All right, so if we bring in Astrid, it's going to give us that increased attack. Who do we have as a reviver? Maybe Arbiter is better than... Maybe Arbiter is better than Astrid. Arbiter has a bigger turn meter fill. And her A2 removes, like, decreases duration of buffs. So she actually has a chance to buff remove. I don't know if she has the accuracy to do it, though. I don't think she does. I think her accuracy is like 250 or something. 288. With the 80 would be 368. So that probably wouldn't work. But if you had an Arbiter with the accuracy, that could potentially be another way to remove the block damage buff. about Regash? What's Regash's accuracy? 379. I think that's enough for the ads. Got to worry about that Valkyrie getting her turn off, because when you turn meter fill or add buffs, she gets turn meter fill. And Mithrala got stunned again. It's definitely more than 3% at this point. It's definitely more than 3%. So I don't know what to tell you. When you're rocking almost 1,000 resistance and still getting stunned left and right, that just feels bad. That just feels like it shouldn't happen. Maybe a block debuffs buff. If the buff's not getting removed, I don't. Gonna try one last team here. See if we can maybe figure something out. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to wait for some regearing. Then I'm gonna have to come in and do that. So yeah, for right now, let's just try this. Let's just swap out Newt and see if the additional control of the waves of the ads helps. See, my Armands is the fastest champion on the team. We want to get to that block buffs, but here's the thing: he's stunning everybody. And Mithrala's not speed tuned right now. Like her speed tune is off. It's not giving us what it was giving us before. All right, now let's get that block debuffs out there. All right, so we freeze 3 champions. We do need to make sure that Ninja doesn't die, because we don't have a reviver here. Ugo doesn't work as a reviver in most of these cases. Not feeling good. It's not looking good. Ninja's on the verge of collapse here. Even with Armands, I'm not crowd controlling enough. All right, we got some heals there. It's this Gregor. This dude is just crushing the team. The faction unity stuff is just making it so much harder than it was before we had it. We kind of cruised up to 30. It actually wasn't that hard. We had to change teams a couple of times, but it really wasn't that bad. All right, so I'm going to try to kill these ads, I think. That's what I'm just going to focus on. Now Ninja's got his perfect veil, so hopefully he won't be the target. And Mithrala's still getting stunned. Still getting stunned. From this skill. No increase accuracy buff. Maybe I need to bring a decrease accuracy buff or debuff for the boss. Our Mons does not have the accuracy to remove the buff from the boss. It's not happening. So we can affect the ads here. The stat requirements for stage 30 are extremely high. I think they're the highest in the game. That provoke is highly annoying. I mean, now it's every time. Mithrala is getting stunned every time, which seems insane to me. To have 1,000 resistance and still be getting stunned every time. Doesn't feel like it should happen. I don't see it, man. I don't know. I think we're gonna have to do some rebuilds. I think we have to get a reviver in here, a better reviver than Ugo. I think what I have to do is I have to rebuild Mighty Ugo. I think I have to rebuild Mighty Ugo. That would give me a champion that could revive and remove and place a block debuffs buff, or block buffs debuff. Sorry. So I think Mighty Ugo is going to be key for me. I think Mithrala is fine. I don't really know what to say about how often she's getting stunned. It seems ridiculous. It seems maybe it's just really bad luck for me. I don't know. And then I've got to find a way to kill the ads. I do think if you have a seer comp and you have the speed and you have the accuracy on seer so that she can pull those buffs off of the enemy, I think you can potentially clear that wave. I don't have that. I would say probably, you know, you're looking at a seer that probably needs like 5k attack and 300% crit damage or something like that, plus enough accuracy to strip the buffs from the enemy. And again, we're talking about, you know, 425 accuracy. So that the stat requirement there is insane, right? Absolutely insane. You don't get an area bonus, you know, so it's like you're just rocking what your gear is and what your Great Hall is. That's it. Now, it may be that for like gear and stuff, we can farm a lower stage. That might be fine. I might not want to farm stage 30 anyway. You know, it looks like we're getting 5 and 6 star drops all the way from stage 20. And you can see we did stage 20 in 46 seconds. So it may be quite like a normal dungeon that we want to farm stage 20 and not worry about the later stages. And that could just be where we're going to be. So, whew, boy, I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board, see if I can pull, you know, stage 30 together. I feel like I can. I'll have to go and watch, see what the other content creators have done. Maybe go check out their videos, see if anybody's actually locked down the stats on the boss. I'm sure the Hell Hades team is trying to pull that together. Right now, they're doing their Fateless thing this weekend, so it might be a few days before we really find out about that. But I imagine that they're going to add it to the optimizer, and they're going to go ahead and maybe add it to the raid stages tool, which would be cool. And then we'll have specific information about the resistances, the accuracy that you need, that kind of stuff. All right, so I didn't want to go super long. I'm sorry to Sud, my editor, who's going to have to edit this crazy long recording. This was more like a live stream. I should have done this as a live stream. But hopefully that helps you see some things that, you know, about this dungeon that are going to help you. Again, I think farming stage 20 is going to be fine. If you could start farm higher, because affinity doesn't matter, I would still think about the energy, right? So stage 24, right at stage 25, the energy goes up. So stage 20, stage 24, and then it looks like all the way, you know, as high as you can go past stage 25 is all going to be 20 energy. And the higher you go, probably the better drop rates there are. So think about what's a reasonable time. You know, like here, stage 24 is a minute 57. Maybe I'll farm stage 24. That's not too bad. Maybe I can even speed that up. A 90-second farm feels totally fine to me at stage 24, and I'm going to get some good 5 and 6 star drops at that stage. So consider that as well. All right, that is it for me today. Let me know in the comments below if you saw anything that I missed. Maybe you could help me out. Maybe you could give me a suggestion for my team. Also, let me know where you are. How many stages did you clear? Did you get to 30? What did your team consist of? What champions did you use? And what were your stats? Your accuracy, your resistance, and your speed. Those are the stats we need to know. All right, thanks so much for hanging out. I have been Colred. I will see you in another video soon.